Good morning. Lance Tarochione, technical agronomist with the Calvin Asgrow in West Central Illinois. Out here freezing for soybeans this morning, doing a little bit of polar plunging with our early planted soybeans today. We had a pretty hard freeze last night, saw a little ice on some puddles. We were down to 28-ish for about 3 hours sustained last night, which is kind of the cutoff for the temperature that soybeans can survive. Above 28 should be good. Below 28 probably won't survive. 28 for 3 hours, that's getting pretty close. Now, in this part of the country, unless you planted beans before Easter Sunday, they probably haven't emerged yet. We've got 2 plots out here. We've got some April 6th planted soybeans that are just about to emerge. We'll look at here in a minute. And we've got March 10th planted soybeans that are emerged, and if you look down the row, you can see a lot of emerged soybeans over here on the really early planted side of this plot. These beans are pretty well frost covered here this morning. I'm gonna pull one up so you can get a little closer look at it. So you can actually see that, if you can see that. Oh. The frost glistening on those plants. So here's our growing point right here, and that's really what we're worried about. The bigger the bean is when it freezes, the more likely it is to be killed because the more of the growing points are exposed. That tissue right there, it's really too early to tell. We've got another cold night to go through. It might be a few days after the freeze before you know if you've still got live tissue. If you see new growth, which it's going to have to warm up some before you're going to see any new growth, but as long as you can see new growth coming out of there, it doesn't really matter how brown the old growth gets, as long as you can still see healthy new growth and the plants are not mushy and they're still solid and they're still firm and they're still healthy looking. Now that one right there, yeah, he's in the process of getting mushy right there. I'm going to say that plant got killed last night. There's really not much turgor pressure left in that stem already, and he's going to rot off right there and will not have anything to regrow from. So that one feels a little bit spongy there as well to me. So we'll see how these turn out, but I'm kind of worried about these guys. Now if we come over here and look at the April 6th planted beans, which that's about as early, the 5th and 6th of April, the Monday and Tuesday after, there's frozen soil there. So it froze about 3/4 of an inch deep. I can break it apart, but that's froze pretty solid. So these plants are just still pushing. You can see several plants right there about to push through. So these plants really should be fine. I'm not concerned about these guys at all. They'll come up after it warms up a few days after the freeze. But if you've got emerged soybeans, that's some of the things you want to look for. And hopefully most of the early planted beans are not up yet. And as you go further south in the state, Springfield got down to about 30 last night. 30 is not going to kill emerged soybeans. So in the parts of the state where we have most of the emerged beans, it didn't get as cold. As you get further north, it got colder, but there's very, very, very few beans planted early enough to be up in this part of the country. So fingers crossed that our early planted beans survive. If they don't, that's why I'm out here freezing with my soybeans, because I make a lot of recommendations for early planted soybeans, and if they're suffering, I guess I figure it's only fair that the agronomist suffers a little bit too. So everybody have a good rest of the week, and we'll hope for the best and keep you posted as we know more. Thank you.